Geez, well, Marina has always been very social, and like I'd say that I've always been a natural when it comes to networking and meeting influential people, celebrities. When I was living in London working for some top hotel chains, I just happened to land up meeting people who were either famous football players who I had no idea, because I mean Cape Town's not big on football, but anyway. So I've always had that knack of falling with my ass in the butter. And but funny enough, so I started the business because of my network, and that's hence the Little Black Book. And then the more the business became successful, the more the little stiletto queen socialite Marina started disappearing. And funny enough, I landed up then swapping my stilettos and my little cocktail dresses for tracksuits. So I know you see this image of when I'm on the red carpet, I'm always dressed up and pretty much looking perfect, but that's called a team of stylists. And I'm very lucky that I'm endorsed by some incredible brands and hairstylists called Tees, and I've got my own makeup artist, Tony Greenberg, and a lot of designers like Warwick Gutier dress me regularly for my events. So I'm very fortunate, but behind the scenes, I'm sitting in front of the computer, no one sees me, and I'm in a tracksuit with no makeup on. Yeah, I lost my job with a big corporate company, and I couldn't find a job anywhere. I mean, even Lusitania Fisheries didn't want to hire me as a rep. So eventually I got a job in Airport Industria for a courier company where I would do cold call and knock on doors to great sales. But I mean, Marina being the glamorous girl, I suddenly realized everyone uses courier, from Malcolm Cluck to all my friends who've got like fashion labels. So suddenly I started making a lot of money, but it was very depressing. I mean, if I left my lunchbox behind, because it was way before it was all developed, and now I think there might even be a Woolworths there. If I forgot my food, there would be one cafe where all the truck drivers would stop, and it was horrendous. We're talking pink sausages. So yeah, so I've come a long way. And then basically what happened was I got asked by a friend to do a launch of a champagne bar and to bring all my friends, which was easy for me. I did that with my eyes closed. And then all of a sudden, everyone started asking me to do their restaurant launches. So literally I started from the bottom, and then the Lormeran's Queen's Plate was, for the first 3 years, it was not very successful at all. People only wanted to go to the J&B Met, so they called me on board just to do the guest lists, and that became like a huge thing. And then I realized that I can't be known as Marina the guest list girl. I've got that PR companies are basically getting paid like quadruple to me, and actually without the guests there is no event. So you can get it in every magazine, but without the people, so I kind of started closing in and decided that we were going to offer PR as one of our services. And then events we actually started doing before the PR. So especially corporate events, we won first prize at the J&B Met for Katie's Financial Services, so that was my big break. In my drinking days, I would make sure that I was always hobnobbling with like the directors or MDs of corporate companies, and I'd wait till they were like a little bit on the tipsy side, or maybe not so little, and that's where I would like nail in about getting the account. And so yeah, that's where I would pitch them and land up with one of the accounts, and I'm sure the next morning they'd wake up with a hangover and suddenly realize that they've given this girl who has got no experience whatsoever a massive account for the J&B Met. And yeah, we won. I mean, it was a huge success. The core of my business, I would say, is PR and events. We've now just hired a new social media strategist who is outstanding. And so we're really going in now for the social media work, because that's digital's the way forward. And so it's PR, it's activations, it's weddings, it's events, and then obviously when someone wants us to do an event, we insist that they use us for PR and the database, and obviously organizing all the decor, because at the end of the day, you know, if you don't have all those things ticked, it could be an epic fail, and people are not going to come back again if the catering isn't good. If you're not serving the best wine or best champagne, they won't come back again. So it's all very well just doing the PR, just bringing the people, but if the function event side of things lets you down, then it's not going to be a success. I obviously try and push to get everything, but it's not always possible. But then what I do insist, if they are wanting to do something from their side, I need to sit down with them. I need to know who the caterer is, what their name is. I need to do a food tasting with the caterer, because going on the website means nothing to me. And so I'm a bit of a control freak with that, but purely because the clients that I've got on my guest list are incredibly spoiled for choice, and I know what they want because I'm one of them. And at the end of the day, it's like an invitation. If there's too much writing on it, you're not going to read it. People don't read, unfortunately. As much as you'd like them to, they don't.
And for the date,
the dates, the address,
and then they check their calendar.
absolutely. And I'm the worst. I mean, I do this for a living. I don't have an admin or assistant person who deals with the guest list. It's always me. And there's a reason for it, because I don't trust anyone working with my database. And people expect Marina to respond, not intern at the Little Black Book to respond. It's always been like that, and it always will be like that. It all happened quite quickly. I wasn't really... It wasn't my desire to have my own business. It was little favors. Okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. And it was suddenly when I started seeing what my competitors were charging for a service that couldn't even be matched to being responsible for actually getting all the people there, and all the celebrities and all the sports personalities and the big spenders who are going to spend money on like VIP tables with French champagne. And it took a couple of those events for me to realize, oh, actually, you know what, there's some money in this involved here that I could be making. And that's when I started getting a bit clever and a little bit more strategic, and that's when I realized I had a business. I personally have never realized that I'm actually very ambitious. You know, maybe I don't have like the degrees behind me like some people might have, but I've always been very street smart. And I think that's what's just understanding people, because I do have a love for people, and I've always been one of those people pleasers. And I think I enjoy making people happy, and I thrive off that. And seeing my clients happy and knowing that all that hard work was worth it, just to see people's faces. And it's obviously a lot of affirmation that you'll end up getting. You know, everyone's like, oh, you did such a great job. And it feels good, you know, at the end of the day. And I think that's what drives me. It's not the money. It all happened so quickly. I had a very difficult pregnancy, so I was basically on bed rest for most of it. And I'd just landed the Law Moran's Queen's Plate account. I'd landed the one and only for Sol Kersner, and all of a sudden it started happening. And then I had Luke, and I was at the Law Moran's Queen's Plate 2 weeks later, pumping and dumping. And then I had Christo Visa's wife's 60th, and then it just snowballed. And I never had a chance to actually breathe and go, oh my God, it's happening. This business is actually turning into something. Because I was always a party girl who was just known for a guest list and not much else. And all of a sudden I'm this career woman with magazines asking me to do articles on me being asked to be a guest speaker for Inspirational Women. I started laughing when I heard that one. One of the universities asked me to also be a guest speaker because the actual students chose me, which was amazing. But I was like, I'm not a guest speaker. I don't know how to do this. So it all kind of snowballed and happened so quickly that I never had a chance. Now, with the recession that's hit me, and obviously things being a little bit more tighter in those glorious days where there was just endless budgets, have come to an end, I'm looking back and going, wow, I wish I'd actually taken it in and enjoyed it more. Instead, I was such a workaholic and I didn't know how to delegate in those days. That was a big problem. Now I'm like learning, I'm a hard worker. I like to get my hands dirty, but it's taken me 10 years to actually start learning to delegate and not feel ashamed or awful about it. When I started this 10, 12 years ago, it was just myself and another company that were in PR. Actually, there were three of us, greater than Marcus Brewster and the Little Black Book. And there were no other PR companies. If there were, I never heard of them. And I think we put the glitz and glam into PR and also events. No more running around in Crocs and walkie-talkies. There we were dressed up in high heels, stilettos, running and doing whatever we needed to do. So a lot of the young girls and guys suddenly saw this and wanted to be exactly like Marina. And a lot of like little tiny agencies opened up left, right and center and started charging a lot less and saturated the market. And I mean, they didn't have overheads. We did. We had 10 people working for us, so we can't charge 450 Rand an hour. We have to charge a little bit more. So with the recession, I don't think it's always such a bad thing. I think if you can get out of the recession and you still have a business, you're doing something right. And it gets rid of all those tiny little companies that kind of rose from the ashes out of nowhere. You've got to have stamina and determination and integrity to last in this business. And one of the things that one unfortunately has to do at the moment is downscale. You can't have massive office spaces with a secretary. I mean, it's not necessary anyway. I mean, with my kind of industry, you've got to be hands-on. 90% of the time, the people want to actually deal with me and not some junior assistant. And that's been something I've just had to accept over the years. And I'm happy to do that. But what I am trying to do now is get other people to do the background work. And that's taken me a long time to be able to let go. But it's incredible because the young blood that's coming up, they are so phenomenal in terms of social media savvy. They are fantastic at putting proposals and presentations together. I mean, I consider myself old when I see what they're capable of doing. But they don't have the experience to liaise with someone who's of a more mature age. So they're very good at doing what they need to do behind the scenes. But I'm happy to be the face of the business and liaise directly with the clients. And I think it's a good recipe. I did quite a bit of work for him a couple of years ago for the Global Success Summit. And I spent 3 days with him in Johannesburg while we did the PR, and we managed to get 4,000 people in the Sandton Convention Center. And I chatted to him and he said, you know what, Marina, the most important thing in business is to look after your staff. If your staff are happy, everything is like a well-oiled machine. And it was weird because that is just naturally how I've always been. It wasn't something, I didn't have to read a self-help book to get that answer, but it just reassured me that if Richard Branson's telling me that that's the most important thing, then it's got to be true. I'd say the recession, who's busy, who's not. What my go-to person to find out if it's just me, if I'm quiet, or if everyone else is too, is normally my photographer, because he tends to work at a lot of the PR companies, so he always fills me in on what's happening and what's not. I'd say the economy is a huge factor in why businesses are closing down left, right, and center. Scaling down, yeah. So, I mean, some big firms that I looked up to, and one of the reasons why I got into this business, have closed down. And it's scary. They are phenomenal at what they do, and now all of a sudden they're no more. It's the recession. You know, it's really affected anything to do with marketing. Look, there's still work out there, and you just need to be at the forefront of people's minds. And with that, you need media coverage, articles. You need to be busy. So I'm kind of going back to basics at the moment, and I have started taking on work that is far less than I would ever dream of charging 4 years ago. But you know what? I'm busy and I'm enjoying it. And at the end of the day, I love what I do. So whether someone's going to pay me R1,000,000 or 10,000 Rand, I'm happy to do it because it's never been about the money. That's not what drives me to do what I do. And it's working because in the last week, I managed to sign 3 really nice accounts. And no one hires someone that's not busy. So you can turn your nose up at people who take on like things that are slightly beneath them in terms of financial reward. But, you know, if you love what you do and the client's happy, then why not? Anyone who thinks they're going to make R1,000,000 overnight by having their own business is seriously misguided. Realistically, you take 2 to 4 years before you actually start earning a decent income. And some people think they're going to make R1,000,000 overnight, and they don't realize they're going to have to take a serious salary knock in order to start their own business and get by being very frugal for the first year and just covering your overheads. If you're covering your overheads, you're doing something right. But you can't expect to be earning a huge salary. Then you need to go back to corporate and have the security of getting a salary every month and having medical aid paid for and all those things. But that's not going to be the case if you run your own business. There's a lot of risk involved.